Warren Buffett made over 90% of his fortune after the age of 60. Not because he worked harder, but because of one principle most investors ignore. Miss this, and you'll never build real wealth. What if the world's greatest fortunes weren't built on hard work alone, but on a quiet force most people overlook? It's called compounding, and at first, it looks painfully slow. So slow that many walk away before it shows its true power. But here's the twist. Give it time, and the growth doesn't just rise, it explodes, snowballing into something unstoppable. That's the hidden magic only the patient investor ever gets to experience. Warren Buffett himself, one of the richest investors in history, calls compounding the eighth wonder of the world. Think about that for a second. The man who built more than 90% of his wealth after the age of 60 credits compounding as the real engine behind his success. If you're serious about building wealth, this is the single principle you can't afford to ignore. And hey, if you're new here, make sure you hit subscribe because every week we break down things you can actually use to grow your money. So here's my promise to you. By the end of this video, you'll understand why $100,000 isn't just a nice round number. It's the tipping point where compounding shifts into overdrive. I'll walk you through the numbers, reveal the psychology behind why most investors fail, and share 6 simple steps to make compounding work for you. Stick around, because the final step might be the one that changes everything. Think of compounding like planting a tree. You don't plant a seed today and expect to sit under its shade tomorrow. For years, it looks like nothing's happening. The soil hides the growth, the progress is invisible, and that's where most people lose faith. But beneath the surface, the roots are spreading, getting stronger every single day. And then, almost suddenly, that small, fragile plant becomes a tree. And one day, it's so big you can't even believe it started as something so tiny. Investing works the same way. The early years test your patience, and most people fail the test. The real problem is that people expect instant results. They want their money to grow like a lottery ticket. Fast, dramatic, and overnight. So, when 5 years pass and their investments have only inched forward, frustration kicks in. They sell, they quit, and they walk away right before the magic starts. That's the agitating truth. Compounding feels like it's not working until it suddenly does. The opportunity, though, is massive because, unlike chasing trends, timing the market, or gambling on stocks, compounding doesn't require genius. It only requires time. The investors who win aren't always the smartest, they're simply the most patient. And to prove it, let's look at real numbers. Warren Buffett is the perfect case study. By age 30, he was worth just over $1 million. Not bad, but nowhere near billionaire status. By 60, he had $3.8 billion. But here's the jaw-dropper. After 60, compounding turned that $3.8 billion into over $80 billion. More than 90% of his wealth came later in life, not because he changed strategies, but because time did the heavy lifting. Now scale that idea to everyday investing. The S&P 500 has returned, on average, about 11% annually over the last decade. That means $100,000 invested could grow to around $283,942 in 10 years. But if you put that same $100,000 into top-performing low-cost index funds like FNILX or VFIAX, which averaged closer to 16% with dividends reinvested, the result isn't just higher, it's staggering. In 10 years, your $100,000 could turn into about $439,377. That's more than 4 times your starting point, without picking individual stocks, without chasing trends, just letting compounding quietly work in the background. It doesn't look magical day to day, but run the clock long enough, and the results are undeniable. The big truth about compounding is simple but hard to swallow. It rewards patience. Imagine a snowball rolling down a hill. At first, it looks tiny and unimpressive, but as it keeps rolling, it gathers more snow, gets heavier, and accelerates faster. That's exactly how compounding works. The earlier you start, the bigger the hill, and the longer that snowball has to grow. The problem is, our brains hate this. Psychologists call it instant gratification bias. We'd rather enjoy something now than wait for the bigger payoff later. That's why most people give up too early. But if you can resist that urge, the rewards become exponential. So how do you actually make this work in real life? That's where a simple step-by-step framework comes in. 6 rules that turn compounding from theory into unstoppable momentum. First, start early because time is the ultimate multiplier. Second, reinvest your dividends instead of spending them so your money makes you more money. Third, stay consistent even when the market looks ugly, because inconsistency breaks the chain. Fourth, keep your costs low. Index funds quietly beat most flashy active funds. Fifth, avoid panic selling. One bad decision can erase years of growth. And finally, aim for that $100,000 tipping point. After that, your money grows faster than your contributions ever could. Follow these 6 rules and you've essentially set your snowball rolling downhill, where the weight of time and discipline compound in your favor. Still skeptical? Let's look at some examples. Most of Warren Buffett's fortune didn't arrive until after his mid-50s, when compounding finally caught fire. Early on, his wealth grew slowly, almost boringly. But then it exploded into billions. Or consider the average investor who consistently puts away $500 a month. With patience and discipline, that person can quietly become a millionaire in 30 years. The difference isn't luck or genius, it's simply whether you play the long game. Ordinary savers stop short, but patient investors let time do the heavy lifting and the results speak for themselves. But here's where the real gut punch hits. Most people stop too early. Imagine putting in the work for 5 years, watching your account creep upward, then quitting because it feels too slow. That's like walking out of a movie right before the big ending. If you quit at year 5, you're leaving behind nearly 70% of the gains that only show up after year 20. That's the cruel trick of compounding. It hides its magic in the future. In the short term, it's boring. In the long term, it's life-changing. The patience you bring to the table is the secret ingredient, not flashy moves or constant tinkering. Stick around long enough, and compounding will do the heavy lifting for you. So here's the takeaway you can't afford to miss. $100,000 isn't the finish line, it's the launchpad. It's the moment where the quiet work of the past transforms into exponential acceleration. And remember this one-liner whenever you're tempted to pull the plug: compounding doesn't care if you're smart, it only cares if you're patient. That's the rule, that's the edge, and that's the hidden truth behind compounding. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up. And if you'd like to learn more about topics to help you grow your wealth, subscribe to our channel. You don't want to miss what's coming next, because every week, we cover topics that help you be smarter with your money. Spend less of it, make more of it, watch it grow. Don't forget to click on the bell icon so you don't miss any videos and get notifications on time. Don't hesitate to give suggestions for our videos. See you at the next one.